Welcome everybody to this special episode of My Data Guest. On October 1st, I and Alessandro, we launched a new adventure, a Substack community dedicated to exploring AI. And we called it My Data Guest, Exploring the AI Without the Hype. So the idea is that everyone is using AI today, but not everybody knows what's behind these models. So we tried to answer these questions. What's behind the AI models? How does the architecture work? What are the training algorithms? How can we use or even better make money out of the AI? So all these questions that allow us to understand better AI and understand better how to profit from AI. So we decided to dive deeper, to study, to learn, to share what we learned, what we discovered. And of course, the best way to learn something new is to ask the expert. And so that's what we have done in this Substack group. That's how this Substack group has started. Now it's 3 months later, the end of 2025. It's past 2025. So it's time to draw some early conclusions and to show you what we have prepared for 2026. Hi, Alessandro.
Ho, ho, ho. Hello. You were not expecting this.
No, totally not. Okay, so I have prepared one question for you. So now we have, it's a relatively young podcast. It's only 3 months, but we have had already 12 episodes. Which is the episode that you have liked the most, that you have enjoyed the most since October 1st?
Good question. The first episode is definitely the episode that I recorded with Andrea and Michele. It was full of insights, emotions, also because they were talking about things that happened some years ago when we started talking about data science. And it's always fascinating to see how the first data scientists started working in this field. So that's probably one of my favorite. And the second one probably is the one you recorded with Paolo. As I also said, some of the times I wasn't expecting so many details and stories about the history of AI. I thought that would have been a completely different episode, but it turned out very, very well. And I was like, wow, I'm really impressed. Yeah, but these are like the 2 episodes that I have in mind, but I think in each episode there is something that I really love, and there are some details that I was also not really aware of. So in general, I have to say that I love them all. But yeah, these 2 episodes are probably still in my brain, and I think about them very often. What about you? What did you like?
Yeah, so I agree with you. There is a bit of learning in each episode, but my focus at the beginning when we started this podcast was to learn more about AI, to learn more about what's behind AI. So definitely my preferred episodes were the ones where we explained the transformer architecture, and the other episode where we talked about fine-tuning and, when it happens, for what, and the different algorithms. Definitely there I learned a few new things.
You have to study, in the end, because there are some things that we don't really, maybe we know it, we're working with it, but then it's also like a lot of work that we have to put behind this episode sometimes.
Yeah, so the thing is that more or less, you know roughly what it is, but then you don't know, at least I don't know the details. And so to prepare an episode forces me also to learn more about what we are talking about, because, you have to learn to make sure that you say the correct, right things, right detail, the small details are all correct. About the episode of Paolo, so the history of AI, so that episode was very popular. He's going to come back. We are going to have him again in 2026. He's going to talk about the influence of the Asimov's stories and, the sci-fi part that Asimov invented, the influence that had on the artificial intelligence. That, I don't know. I have high expectations of that episode.
I do have high expectations about that, definitely. Really looking forward to it. Let me ask you something. What are the topics we will explore in 2026? Since now we did a lot of deep dives, we were looking into the core of some of the algorithms that we have behind the LLM, like the episode that you made about the transformers, but there's still more to explore. What do you think?
So we are going to have the big news is going to be 2 new episodes in January and February, and completely dedicated to startups. So, now with AI, it has become very easy to assemble a prototype. You take a few smart students with a bit of an AI knowledge, and then in a weekend, they can assemble the prototype. I mean, it's relatively fast. So how can you monetize the prototype? So the next questions that the famous students have is how can I build a real company out of that? And, the prototype is not enough. There is a difference between a prototype and a product, and then there is the whole thing that comes around with creating a company. So we are going to have 2 episodes dedicated to startups, January and February. I think that's the big news. Of these 2 episodes. So one is going to be an AMA session, an Ask Me Anything session. So we are going to have some startup coaches and they're going to answer questions from the community. And another one is going to be a startup spotlight episode. So maybe you can tell us more about the startup spotlight episode.
Well, first of all, initially, I think we were kind of discussing Shark Tank startups or something, but it's not really a Shark Tank. It's more about giving to whoever wants to build a startup, or at least they have an idea, to pitch it in front of some experts and get some feedback. So it's not going to be a competition, but it's more about getting feedback from experts. These experts are people who are in the startups business. I have some names in mind, and I think the background is huge. So these people that you're going to see in the startup spotlight, they've been involved in so many different things. So I think it's a great opportunity. And in the end, if you want to participate, you just have to maybe reach out on LinkedIn or Substack. You can send us an email. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, and then Rosaria and I will try to understand if it makes sense for whatever you want to pitch to include it into this startup spotlight. And then we will contact you back. And I think that's pretty much it. Or what am I missing?
Yeah, basically it's going to be a rehearsal. So let's say that you have a startup and you want to approach investors. When you talk to investors, you have just one chance, right? So we play the rehearsal for you and we give you feedback on what we think should be changed in your pitch or even your business idea. I mean, it depends. So that's January, February.
Yeah, perfect. So are we going to have something on maybe education around and with AI? What do you think?
There are no precise plans about that, but it would be fantastic to have a little hackathon. So we are going to have a few more lessons. We have had already the lesson about the transformers and about the fine-tuning. We have seen how to build AI agents with NIME, and we are going to see how to build AI agents with a few other tools. And that would be perfect if we had like a hackathon or something, little project that our people can implement following the hands-on lessons that we have given previously. So probably it's possible. Definitely at the moment, nothing is planned, but later on, let's say May, maybe or June, it's possible that we have such a hackathon. Would be nice.
Yeah, I have high hopes for hackathons. We were talking about it several times, and of course it fits very well what we're doing at My Data Guest.
It's also, a boost for the career because if you have it in your CV that you have done some kind of a hackathon and you were among the top, I don't know, something 10 or 12 or 20, then of course it's something that you can be proud of in your CV.
Yeah.
So another request that I had is if we do anything about vibe coding, the vibe trend, the whole vibe trend. What do you think about that, Alessandro?
Yeah, I have different feelings about it, but we will definitely do something about it. We will explore it, and yeah. So the short answer is yes. We have to find, I guess, the right recipe in terms of also how to give something actionable that is not just writing prompts with no control. So we will try to find a format that a format that we can use to teach something for real. Yeah, maybe also based on my experience as a data scientist, software engineer. I will try to share what I learned during the last months, years, because this is also a new topic for me. For all of us in the end.
It is a controversial topic. I mean, if you talk to some people, they say absolutely not, because then you have to put your hands again on the code. You don't understand anything, or I don't know, he does stuff. And how do you debug? something like that. And yeah, I mean, of course, it's not something that you write. You have to trust the AI. But on the other hand, it makes your job a bit easier, definitely easier. I mean, you can put together something maybe not complex, but instead of, writing from scratch, you can do it for you. So I am now maybe vibe coding, not so much, but I am a big fan of the vibe video editing because I've done a lot of vibe video editing before. And it's a lot of work. So to have, to be able to tell the tool, find this piece of conversation, isolate it, export it in this format here and there. Frankly, it's fantastic. It's a complete game changer. So maybe what we could do, we could have something like, like we do in the political discussions. You have somebody who's in favor and somebody who's against that, and then you put them together and you let them discuss, and then we see both points of view.
Yeah, this vibe coding in the cage, whoever.
Something like that, yeah. I would say the whole vibe experience, because it's not only the coding, but it's also so it's also the video editing, it's also reporting. I mean, you can do a lot of vibe stuff these days. So it's a whole vibe trend.
Yeah, it is.
So we will have something, definitely. Now, the format, I don't know. Let's see. But we will have something about vibe for sure.
Yeah. What about AI observability, or more in general about AI governance, models for image generation? What do you think?
So I think we should definitely have something about AI for image generation. We have done a lot about the large language models so far. And of course, it's a big part of AI, so we were supposed to do it. But I think we should do something about the architectures that are behind the image generation models, because it's a huge part of AI. So definitely, we should have something dedicated to that. AI governance, so we had all the month of November that was dedicated to business. So AI governance is definitely going in the direction of the big business, right, of the big companies. So we'll see. Yeah, probably we would need to have somebody who tells us what guardrails to put around the AI so that it can be adopted also in banks, for example, or in a sensitive business. Yeah. But the AI observability, actually, I turned the question to you because you mentioned the AI observability. I think it was in the fine-tuning podcast.
Maybe.
So maybe that could be something that interests you.
Yeah, it's a huge topic at the moment, because I believe that many people have a lot of unstable solutions in production, and now they're thinking about observability. And if you think of how LLMs or agents work, there are a lot of details that are basically hidden from you. So now these tools like Langsmith and many other tools based on OpenTelemetry, they're getting a lot of attention now because they're helpful. So you can use them to understand what's going on whenever you are sending thousands of tokens to the LLM through an agentic AI framework. So you have more visibility of what's happening. It's a huge topic, and we will definitely talk about it, and maybe we will also do some technical deep dive. Makes totally sense, because there are a lot of tools that we can show that play very well with Crew AI, LangGraph, and so on. So we could have talk about it.
A month dedicated to all these AI governance, so a general introduction, and then we could have some details about AI observability and AI tools, AI observability tools.
Yes, makes sense.
That would be nice, yeah. So I have another question for you. So I said before that we are going to have a few more of these hands-on sessions. I said that we have had how to build an AI agent with KNIME. So which other demos of how to build AI agents with different tools are we going to have?
We're gonna see Crew AI, LangGraph, NA10. We're gonna see all these tools for building agents. This goes from playing with Python, so having the complete control of your pipeline, up to very high level solutions like NA10, for instance, which is something that we have probably mentioned several times. And it's something that I use. I have an NA10 instance at my on my Raspberry at home, so I use it very often. And I think this will probably help the like a huge audience, because with Crew AI, N8N, LangGraph, we're basically covering so many use cases. You can even use those tools together and show how to create a complete agentic AI application from scratch. Yeah, so there are a lot of things that we can show. So it's not going to be only myself, but we will also have some other experts. But yeah, with these tools, you can basically do almost anything. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
I ask you something, because this is a question that I had in my mind for a while. Since, we started a few months ago, but it always feels like more than a few months. I don't know, it's like more than 3-4 months.
It definitely
right?
feels like a year.
Feels like a year. But also because we were covering so many different things, calling a lot of experts. But in general, since you started the first version of the My Data Guest before, which is a bit different compared to what we have now, because now we also have, if you can call them products, we have more products, I don't know. But what was the most difficult part of rebranding the My Data Guest? Like the first thing that you have in mind?
Well, so, difficult. There was nothing that was really difficult. But let's say the big jump was to move from one single product to a whole, landscape of products. So to explore, first of all, the theory, and then to explore what was possible to do and how with which products. So definitely that was the big jump. Difficult is a harsh word. It doesn't have to be difficult, but that was the big jump. Definitely also thinking because before, we were doing everything in terms of machine learning, training set, test set, the old stuff. And now you have to change a bit your perception, because now I think Miguel said that in one of the podcasts, we have all become a bit more machine learning engineers. So rather than creating, we use what somebody else has created. And the perspective is a bit different. And then this perspective is what I wanted to have in the new podcast, rather than continuing with the previous podcast. So that was the big jump, definitely. The change in perspective. The rebranding, as you know, I'm not an expert in graphics. So the whole part about graphics, I let you handle it. I think for me, the biggest change was in the mind. So to change the perspective from the old way of doing machine learning to the new way of consuming somebody else's models.
Yeah, makes sense. I didn't think about that. But still, I think the format of having guests and, important guests is pretty much the same. But now we have guests from everywhere, essentially. So not only
then once you open your mind to whatever is possible, then you change also the kind of guest that you invite. Yeah. Then, of course, it's a much bigger horizon of much bigger pool of possible speakers than you can invite. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of guests.
Yeah.
Any big names for 2026?
Well, I'm trying to invite a few big names. We are going to have a few relatively big names when we are going to run these 2 episodes for the startups, because we are going to have like serial founders and people who have founded companies that now are huge, right? So we are going to have a few of those. I'm trying to invite a few relatively big names in the field of evangelism, so data science, evangelism, AI. So we'll see. Probably there is going to be some big names. I think the big names are more connected to the fact that they are already teaching, so they have a big pool of students they are serving to, or they have already founded successful companies.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we'll see, but I don't want to say names now, because then they say no, and then people are going to be disappointed.
Yeah, let's pretend that we have these names in our list, and we just, it's okay. It's part of the game. So speaking of episodes for the next year, where can people suggest topics for the next podcast episodes if they want to?
Well, on the chat in my My Data Guest community on Substack. Under each one of the posts or videos that we post in the podcast, so in the comment section, on LinkedIn, if they want to. Also on LinkedIn, we have a My Data Guest a page, and we post all the different episodes. We announce all the different episodes there. If you have an idea for the next episodes, please write to us either in the comments or via direct messaging. Yeah, any
Which
way
is
you can reach us.
something we take really seriously because we listen to people on Substack, especially whenever they interact with us. Even it doesn't matter if they're paying subscribers but we try to interact with everyone. And some subscribers kind of helped us to maybe prioritize the next topics. So we had something in mind, but they gave us some help. So we're truly listening to what people want to see because it's also useful for us. From my point of view, we have so many topics we can choose from, and maybe if we get some directions, that's good.
Yeah, and also if you already really, really appreciate some idea that is already in the making, just let us know so that we can bump it up a bit in the priority. Because sometimes, we think maybe this one is not that interesting, but then if you tell us that it would be a great plus for your career or for whatever the project you're working on at the moment, then we'll do it earlier.
Yeah. And next year, we will also focus a bit more on paying subscribers on Substack, which is something we did a bit also this year. We have the chat with the paid subscribers. They can interact with us in a different way, even though all the contents that we create, that's available for everyone. You don't have to pay. But what about next year? Is there something that we are going to give only to paying subscribers in terms of episodes, contents, or?
So for the paying subscribers, as you said, this year we haven't done much. We have a very small pool of paying subscribers. So the only thing that we have reserved for her is the chat, and they can give us suggestions on what they want to see next via the chat. But for next year, we would like to start a program dedicated to the paying subscribers. So that means that we are going to have material only for the available only for the paying subscribers. So we are going to have, for example, also the Startup Spotlight episode, the Shark Tank episode. We are going to have startups invited, so 1 or 2, 3 maybe, I don't know, probably 3 is a bit too much because if we want to give feedback, we don't have the time to listen to 3 pitches. So if we are going to invite the startups, and if there are too many applications, then we are going to give the preference to the startups that are in the pool of the paying subscribers. So there is going to be a bit more attention paid to the paying subscribers, especially to the ones who want to start a company. They want to put together a little startup, definitely. So we are going to have some dedicated episodes for this group.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely. As I said, we will start in February with this kind of episode, January, February, and then we will have more during the year. We haven't done much about that yet. Yeah. So shall I ask the last question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we going to have also live episode, like with a real live audience in
With real
2026?
people.
With real people.
Real people and real AI. Yeah, I hope so. I would love to. So it would be really nice maybe to record something next year, some live episodes, depending on the event. I was also thinking that I've never said that, but if I go to Bangalore next year again for the Data Hack Summit, maybe I can record the special episode there. I will probably meet again, maybe Miguel and some other speakers from that conference, and we can record a special episode from that conference, or maybe we can do a special retreat somewhere and record a special like an interactive podcast with the audience. That would be really nice. I think it's kind of easy. It's not too difficult. We just have to find the right occasion to get as much people as we can. That's probably the most difficult part, but I hope we would manage to do it.
We said that we are going to have a hackathon, right? So what about so the hackathon is going to have a problem. There is going to be some previous podcast, but we are going to have also a little lesson before starting the hackathon. So maybe we could have all the teachers live together, and then we could stream these lessons live.
Yeah,
that could be an option.
That's exactly the event I was talking about. If we have a good occasion, maybe this can be one of those. That's a good idea. I hope we will do it. As I said, it's going to be fun. Looking forward to it.
I think it would be great. Yeah. So we have had a bit something like that when we did the rebranding. When the three of us, we met in person. So maybe that could be another thing that we could do in person.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Thank you for all these questions. And this is a really nice way to wrap up 2025 after so many years of collaboration for the My Data Guest.
Yeah.
Because it feels like years.
Yeah, no, it has been very intense. I used to say that there are these high density learning periods. So that has been one of those. There has been
definitely.
a high density learning for me at least.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Thank you. And thank you to the audience. And we are going to see you for the next episodes. And we will implement most of the things that we have said today.
Thank you, Rosaria. Goodbye. Bye-bye.